Hello, all you fine folks out there, and welcome to another night of That Sounds Right with me, your host, Misinformation. We're here on 2MB Studios. It is 7 p.m. on a Monday night, and that means we are about to hear a lot of false facts from a lot of pretty people. With me here in the studio is my co-host, Will. Actually, Will, you here with me?
Hey, it's Will Actually. How you doing, Misinformation?
I'm doing great, Will. I've been thinking.
That's good to hear. Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about our show last week.
That amazing show where you only got one wrong?
I only got one wrong last week, Will.
It was.
And I've been wondering, do you have the confidence in me that I am going to have a similar track record tonight?
Misinformation, I always have confidence in you. Just sometimes you let me down, but this time, just given what happened last week, I believe that you are going to get them all right. You are on a roll.
Wow. Well, that means a lot to me. I don't know if I could ever get them all right. That's a tall order.
It is a tall order, no pressure, but I'm just saying I'm going to be here to do a little bit of fact checking, making sure that we're all on the same page about those right answers and giving the correct amount of points to the right people.
That's what you're here for, Will. We couldn't do the show without you. Also here in the studio, we have three lovely contestants joining us. We have Allie.
Hello.
Hi, Allie. Welcome to the show. Welcome to That Sounds Right.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. We have Jess.
Hello.
Hi, Jess.
So great to be here. I'm excited. I'm ready.
You appear to be a graduate.
I am a graduate of a university.
Wow. Impressive. We also have Fui here in the studio. How are you?
Doing well.
Glad to have you. I'm so excited for tonight. I'm really feeling good about this show. I think we're going to hear a lot of information that definitely sounds right. And with that, we're going to dive right into round one with our first question, which is, what is the Gruen transfer? What is the Gruen transfer? I have no idea. And that's what I'm counting on you contestants to tell me. Now, audience members, if you've never been here before, how this works is I ask a question that I have no idea the answer to. I certainly have no idea what the Gruen transfer is. I'm going to ask each of these contestants this question. They are each going to give me an answer. One of their answers will be correct factual information, and two of them will be just completely making up the answer on the spot, and it is up to us to decide who we think sounds right. Allie, I'm going to come to you first. What is the Gruen transfer?
Yeah, so Gruen is actually referring to a form of currency that was used in the early Egyptian days. So when a lot of empires combined, they had to figure out a way to kind of make currency uniform. So the Gruen transfer is actually everybody trying to transfer Gruens into their own currency.
Makes sense to me. That definitely holds up as to what a transfer is. And as to what a Gruen is, I have no idea. Jess, what answer do you have for me?
I have the correct answer for you. The Gruen transfer refers to a psychological concept, actually, which is that moment when you walk into like a shopping mall or a big store and you become so overwhelmed and overstimulated by all the lights and the sounds and the displays and whatever that you fall into a state of confusion. And that's what causes you to buy more. So it's why you go into Target for one thing and you come out with 20 things.
Jess, that answer holds a lot of water for me because that phenomenon happens to me all the time.
Happened to me today.
Fui, what's your answer?
The Gruen transfer is a thing in chemistry named after the 1940s, and it refers to the way that metal interacts with a high temperature acid, and is about a way to kind of weld two bits of metal together by sort of transferring some of their electrons and forming a kind of bond between them.
Interesting. Now, what I'm hearing, contestants, is three very different answers. We have one answer about currency. We have one answer about psychology of consumerism. And we have one answer about physics or chemistry perhaps. Now, audience members, I'm going to give you one more thing to remember here, and that's that I am very heavily swayed by audience commentary. If you comment with a suggestion of who to pick, I almost always pick the popular answer because, once again, I have no idea who is correct here. For this first question, because I'm not seeing any help from the audience, it all falls on me. Transfer to me sounds like a very money sounding word. I've seen it at the airport. I have seen it
Counterpoint.
other places. Yes, Jess.
Counterpoint. Allie's not wearing a hat.
Jess, your counterpoint is strong, but I am going to settle on giving 5 points to Allie for the Egyptian currency. Very specific answer, very money. It all makes sense to me, and it sounds right. So I'm giving
Relax,
Allie 5 points.
here. It may sound right to you, but it's actually wrong. Jess Cashin was correct on that one. It is a psychological effect.
Oh, it was the
It
light.
really was. Yeah, it's named after a man called Victor Gruen, who designed one of America's first shopping malls.
Jess, I have to be honest, despite the hat, you were last on my list to pick. Only because the word transfer to me,
Ooh,
where's the transfer? Transfer
right in
means
the feel bads.
it's over here, it's over there.
Right in the feel bads.
Jess, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, Will, actually, but this round is going to Allie. Thank you. Allie used a really good tactic, which was
Smile a lot, right? Yeah.
Sounded good. Yeah.
Smile and wave a lot.
We clearly have 3 excellent contestants with us here tonight. We're going to go to round 2. Question 2 of round 1. First round, second question. Here it goes. What common substance did the Roman Emperor Vespasian put a tax on? I'm going to give myself a second shot at that name. What common substance did the Roman Emperor Vespasian put a tax on? I'm very interested to hear your answers. Jess, what substance?
It was actually water. So you're familiar with the Tiber, which runs through Rome, and it was famously where Romulus and Remus were raised by a wolf before they founded the Roman Empire. And so the Tiber was sort of became this like place of pilgrimage for people in the Roman Empire. So it became very like overstimulated, overtrampled, things were getting polluted. So clean water became harder to come by, and they needed to put a tax on it so that people might stop destroying the area where they got their main water source from.
Jess, I love your answer. Water is a common substance. And
It's very common.
I even recognize those names of Romulus and Remus. They do ring a bell. Fui, I'm coming to you next.
You're very close. It's Vespasian, and the tax was put on urine, which would be collected from cesspools and then sold off to tanners and cloth makers and dyers. And actually, his son Titus had an objection to the tax, seemingly to tax urine, which then caused Vespasian to kind of like take some coins out of his pocket and go, "Money has no smell."
Wow. Fui, you sound confident. You had specifics, and you also had a fun anecdote. You'll learn on this show. This goes a long way. Allie, I haven't counted you out. What's your answer?
Well, the one substance that Romans were really producing was concrete. So, you take water, which is already scarce, but you start figuring out, well, if I can charge taxes on materials to put things together, then I can get more money back for my investments. So concrete was actually taxed upon a lot, especially how it's used and withstood to today's architecture.
Concrete. We have 3 excellent answers. This is going to be a tough show for me.
Let me
3
just see if
excellent
I can sway you real quick with history is kind of my jam.
Fui has a tattoo.
Counterpoint.
I feel very unprepared. Everyone has hats and tattoos, and I have neither.
I used to get tattooed before this show. You should know this goes a long way with me. I'm seeing support in the chat for the tattoo. I have to say, Fui, even before the tattoo, you already had me pretty convinced. Because what a fun little story. And also, I would have never thought to tax urine. That's all I have to say. Fui, I'm giving you 5 points.
Well, actually, here, Fui's right, and you're right. It was urine.
Excellent. I am
Excellent.
glad I did not pick urine for nothing. Excellent work, everybody. We're going very well so far in this show. I'm very impressed with all of you. That's all I have to say. Our third question in the first round is, other than magic, what was Harry Houdini passionate about? Harry Houdini, famed magician from somewhere, and he was very passionate about, I thought I knew, I don't, but he was very passionate about something other than magic. I want to know what it is. Fui, you're up first.
Sailing. He was an avid nautical enthusiast, and in fact had a ship specially commissioned him that was for specifications and had, as you would expect, some pretty intricate locking.
Sailing. I will hear your answer, and I will hear other answers. Allie, what is your answer?
Very close. Harry Houdini was actually a big fan of the skies. He is one of the first pioneers of aviation, so much so that he was actually one of the first people who had his own plane. He was one of the first private pilots of the early 1900s.
What? A plane? Harry Houdini? Wow. Wow. What a Renaissance man. Jess, what's your answer?
Actually, neither of these answers are even close to the correct answer. The correct answer, this is one of my favorite facts about Houdini, it's animal husbandry. So when in Houdini's early days, before he became more famous for escapism, he did begin with, those traditional magic acts you see with like birds and bunnies and whatever, and making various animals disappear. And he eventually realized that if he started breeding these animals himself, he could breed them in such a way that they would actually enhance his magic act. So he had very specific breeds of birds and of rabbits and various other small animals that you couldn't get elsewhere for magic because he bred them himself.
Right. Oh, Jess, that really makes sense. Oh, this is troubling. I love all these answers. Fui's answer, of course, was sailing. Allie's answer, the skies. And Jess's answer was animal husbandry.
Mm-hmm.
I am seeing in the chat that someone happens to know, Tina Talon happens to know that Houdini loved ferrets. Now, this to me says that he must have been an animal lover, because if you don't love all animals, why would you love ferrets of all things? But I think I'm going to give 5 points to Jess here for animal husbandry, because it really makes sense why he would have all those animals for the magic show. I'm talking myself out of this answer as I'm...
Just ding the bell, Kaylee.
It's over. Jess gets 5 points. It sounds right. Animal husbandry, for those of you who don't know, means making animals procreate.
Well, actually, here, if you kept reading the chats, Tina Talon actually reneged on her, saying that he loved ferrets.
Tina betrayed me.
This is no place for jokes. This is no place for kidding. This is no place for jokes. Will, what was the actual answer?
It was Allie. It was flying. He was a big fan of flying.
He really was a pilot?
He actually did one of the first flights, like controlled flights in Australia near Melbourne, that they actually commemorated him on a stamp.
Was he Australian? Was he from Australia?
No.
Where was he from? Philadelphia.
Austria, and then he lived in like Chicago or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so
for sure,
absolutely.
Allie gets no points. I really thought Jess sounded right for a second there, and I'm going to retain those 5 points. I'll tell you all what.
Tina Talon.
Tina Talon is catching.
Tina betrayed me. Goodness gracious! Wow.
We are at the end of our thank you. One pity point to Tina Talon. We are at the end of our first round, and I have to say, I love when this happens. So far, it is a tied game. 5-5-5. 5-5 means everybody has 5 points. It is tied. Allie, I'm going to come to you first. I denied you those last 5 points, but you're still tied. It's anyone's game. Is there anything that you would like to tell to anyone or the audience at large?
Yeah. Wash your hands. Please. That's all.
What a great message, Allie.
That's all.
Thank you. I always do. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to our second round here. Our first question in our second round is something I have no idea what the answer is. What are the horse latitudes? Everybody, what are the horse latitudes? Allie, it's your turn to answer first. What say you?
The horse latitudes are found on a map. They are 30 degrees north and south of the equator. And it's a special area of the map where nothing happens. So it's always sunny, there's dead wind. So when ships go there, they don't really move unless they have some sort of motor. And the reason why they're called the horse latitudes is back in the day, they didn't have motors. So what they would do to kind of move along is they would dump the horses overboard.
What? In the water?
Yeah.
Just swim the rest of the way?
Yeah, absolutely. They just tied. Nope. They got him a little boat, and they were like, nope.
Okay, Allie. I'm upset. Jess, what's your answer?
Yeah, so the horse latitudes are actually about 49 degrees north and south of the equator. And what they actually line up with to the north of the equator lines up with the original route of the Pony Express. So that's where there was a latitude line that the main route of the Pony Express from the East Coast to the West Coast would travel basically along this latitude line. And there happens to be, few people know this, but in South America, there was also their own version of the Pony Express. They, of course, called it something different. But it ran at a surprisingly an equivalent latitude to the south of the equator, their own Pony Express.
Jess, you keep saying Pony Express, and I would love for you to share, for those in the audience who may not know, what is this Pony Express you speak?
The Pony Express was the early mail system in the United States and also in South America, where they used horses to deliver mail across the country.
I see. The Pony Express.
And also across the many countries of South America.
Did they use ponies?
They used horses.
Ponies
called it the Pony Express?
Ponies are different from horses.
Yes, ponies are different. Ponies are not ponies are not baby horses. Ponies are their own thing. They are a kind of horse. But yeah.
But they didn't use ponies.
Your
answer is falling apart. Fooey.
Are ponies different than horses?
I am listening.
I don't know what else to say.
Fooey, what's your answer?
The horse latitudes are a band from about, I think it's 40 degrees north to 70 degrees north, which is a kind of a band that goes all the way around and actually happens to encompass both the Central Eurasian steppes and also the Great Plains of America, which are both the world for horse breeding, which kind of bumps up against Jess. You almost kind of brushed against tangentially, because a similar system to the Pony Express was actually used as far back as the early 13th century by the Mongol Empire in that particular band.
Oh, that was so many details. Okay. So it's not Jess, but I am caught between.
I would like to just point out that Fooey's answer totally backed up my answer of the Pony Express.
Why do you think?
Because he agreed that was a thing.
I mean, a horse post mail system has been around for a very long time.
We all already knew that.
I would also like to say I answered first, so if that gives me any precedence.
It's true, you did answer first, Allie. And I have to say, I'm seeing some support for you in the chat, but it's coming from Tina Talon, who I no longer trust. You see what kind of position this puts me in. You can't trust her. Fooey is getting support from someone who's not Tina Talon. So just to be safe this time, I'm going to give him 5 points for the band of latitudes that encompass the main kind of horse breeding areas, which sounds right to me. That's
Well, actually, here, it was Allie on that one. Not Fooey. Tina Talon is playing mind games now. Just for wondering what's happening. Tina Talon is in your head.
Yes, Tina Talon is in my head. The audience doesn't usually revolt against me in this way, and I'm having trouble adjusting.
This is unprecedented for sure. This has never happened.
It is. Well, I'm going to stick with the 5 points I gave Fooey because he did sound right.
All right. Nothing I can do about that. Congrats, Fooey.
Will is so sassy tonight. Let's move on. The next question is, before saying cheese became the norm, what would people say before taking pictures? There was a time before cheese. Let's all imagine that time. Before taking a picture, what did people used to say before saying cheese became the norm? Jess, I'm coming to you first. What did people used to say?
Before saying cheese, people would say prunes. Prunes. Because so when you look at those like 1840s, 1850s photographs, you'll see that everybody has a very like stern expression on their face. Because having a big, if you will, cheesy grin in a photograph was seen as very like childish and uncouth. So you wanted a more serious picture. So saying prunes would make your mouth tighten and get smaller. So like prunes, very stern. And that was how you got your classy Victorian photograph. It was also easier to hold a face like that for the time that it would take for the camera to actually process the picture.
I like it, Jess. I like your answer. I'm not going to lie. That makes sense to me. You looked amazing when you were saying prunes.
Thank you.
It all fit together. Bowie, what's your answer?
This one is a trick question, actually. They didn't say anything. You were just kind of neutral expression the whole time. Because, again, early on, we have, like, daguerreotype minute of exposure before it kind of sets into the silver-treated plate. You just don't really want to say anything or make any mess up that long exposure time.
That does make sense that you would want your face to just be extremely kind of relaxed, which involves saying nothing at all. These are two compelling answers. Allie, what's your answer?
Yeah, so the term cheese only came around like just a few decades ago. So before that, people would actually say smile, because if you actually say smile, you actually end up smiling inadvertently. So, you would hold up the camera and everyone would go smile, and then they would, hold their grin like that because it's easier to do it with kids. It's easier to remember if you don't really have a lot of brain cells left or you don't really want to smile, but it kind of forces a smile on your face.
They would just say the word smile because it makes you smile. Do you mean like the pronunciation of the word smile, or do you mean psychologically saying the word smile? Like it's like looking at somebody.
Oh, both, because you can't say smile with a frown. Smile,
I don't know, you just did it.
No.
No, she couldn't. She had to smile.
Yeah.
Jess could do it though.
I bet I could. Yeah.
That takes a lot of
probably do it.
I have not gone up to that. I haven't graduated yet. I'm still studying.
I also worked in customer service for years and it killed my soul.
So
Can relate.
There's some disagreement in the chat so far. All of these answers sound really good to me. I'm going to be honest. They all sound like they could be right. But only one person can get the points. So I'm going to do my own tiebreaker here. I am going to say or do each of these things and just see kind of how well it turns out for me. Okay, here's my first one. Thank you. Pat on tap, everybody. Thank you so much, Matt Fear. Here we go. Prunes. That's number one. Audience, tell me how good I look. Here we go. So here's the second one. Nothing at all. And then the third answer. Smile. I know. Oh, I'm sorry. Smile. Those were three excellent pictures.
You looked real fancy on prunes, I gotta say.
I feel like I did.
Very classy.
I feel like I did. And for that reason, all three of them went well because I'm a naturally excellent looking person, but I do have to go with Jess for how austere I felt, which is definitely something that people probably wanted in some pictures. I've seen some pretty scary pictures. I'm giving 5 points to Jess for prunes that felt fierce to me.
Smile.
Sassy Will actually here, and you are right. Congratulations.
The photo test doesn't lie.
It does not lie.
Usually it's about what sounds right. This time it was about what looks right. And that's why Jess got the points. We're going to move on to our third question in our second round. And that third question is, what is the volume of a buttload? A buttload is a measurement of something. What's the volume? How much is a buttload? Fui, I'm coming to you first. What's your answer?
It's 126 gallons or 475 liters in the metric. A butt, a type of large vessel for storing wine, beer, and other liquids, which is larger than a hogshead and smaller than a ton.
Smaller than a hogshead, larger than a tongue. Fui's was like
Other way
a
around.
little, oh, bother. I really liked that answer. Allie, what's your answer?
Buttload is just an expression, just like how you would say a couple or a few or several. So buttload is actually 2,000 pounds. So obviously you can't use buttload in a professional manner. So that's why they converted it to ton. But back in the day, it used to be buttload.
Back in the day. What?
Many decades ago, before our time.
Excellent. Before our time. Thank you. Jess, what is a buttload? What's the volume?
Yeah, so the volume of a buttload is about like 200 metric tons. It comes from a man called William Butt. That is his real name. It's a terrible name, but that is his name. And he was the owner / operator of one of the earliest delivery routes in England. And his carriage could hold about 200 metric tons. So when he would come through town with his deliveries, I was like, oh, here comes another buttload. And that kind of became the colloquial term for it. Kind of like the Wells Fargo wagon, but the buttload.
I see.
It was a large carriage, Tina.
All of these answers are beautiful in their own way. And I'm no scientist, but only one of these answers was a measurement of volume.
I meant square metric ton.
Oh!
Cubed. Sorry.
Listen, audience members, these three contestants, we have them on the show because they are geniuses, all three of them. They're incredibly smart individuals. And once in a while, we all misread a question or mishear a question or mishear and misread a question. But in all fairness, because Fui did give me a volume, I'm going to say that answer did sound the most right. So we're going to give 5 points to Fui. And I really hope I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong on that one. Congratulations.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. I thought you would appreciate my reasoning on that question.
It's very well
That
reasoned.
was solid reasoning.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Very well thought out.
We have reached, I thought really hard about it. I had to double check myself on that. But it did say volume in the question. Now, we have reached the end of our second round. That last question did put Fui in the lead. Fui, you are in the lead. You have a narrow lead over our other two contestants. Is there anything that you want to tell to the audience?
I have recently been on Max Kreisky's podcast, Wizard Seeking Wizard, which everybody should go listen to, which is a fun podcast where people send in wizard dating ads, and then you get to vote on who goes on a date. And I won with also Improv Boston's favorite son, Mark Camposano. And we went on a date that was a real magical disaster.
Fantastic. Thank you, Fui. I love that podcast. Everyone, check out Wizard Seeking Wizard. It's an excellent choice for your podcast needs. If you're just tuning in, the score right now is Fui with 15 points, Jess with 10 points. Allie, you have 5 points right now, but it is anybody's game. There's one more round and a bonus round still coming up. We're going to dive in now. The first question of our third round is, how did the Ghost Army work for World War II? Very common question. It's World War II. There's obviously a Ghost Army. How did it work? Allie, what have you got to say?
Yeah, the ghost army was actually not made of ghosts. It was a distraction technique that the Allies used to distract Germany. So what they did is they were just like, does anybody want to help us pull some pranks? And a lot of people responded positively. So they got like a lot of magicians, a lot of artists, a lot of actors who enlisted, and basically they would walk around with like inflatable balloons and pretended to be an army to throw off the actual army scent.
So it was just sort of a bunch of whimsical folks.
Just, showing up to have a good time, but also like, defend democracy and all that.
Allie, I love this answer because that, I feel, is how I would want to join a war effort.
Same.
Carry a balloon, perhaps wave. Jess, what's your answer?
So GHOST is actually an acronym in this case. It stands for German Hostage Operative Security Team. So it was actually a special division of the army that was tasked with rescuing hostages taken by the German military. Sort of like a secret service, if you will. So GHOST was the acronym for what they did, but also because they operated as like a secret service and they were very much kind of under the radar. It's like a double entendre, if you will.
Jess, this doesn't come up a lot in this show, but I love an acronym. I love it. This is a tough question. Fui, what's your answer?
Allie was actually really close, but kind of overplaying it. The GHOST actually existed. It was only an army on paper that repeatedly relayed to German high command by a double agent called Agent Gabro, a Spanish anti-fascist that infiltrated the German network with the help of MI5, and then would continually pass information about just over here and it's just over there, and oh, they moved it over here, which constantly forced the Germans to move division. Actually wound up facilitating D-Day, because even to the point where ships were landing at Normandy, Hitler was absolutely convinced that they were actually going to land an army in Denmark.
Fui, that does not sound familiar to me, which doesn't mean anything at all. That was a very convincing answer. There were a lot of convincing details. To me,
too many convincing details, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, Jess, you think he was overcompensating?
I think he's overcompensating.
Oh yeah, like the acronym, definitely not.
Yeah, what was that acronym?
The German Hostage Operative Security Team.
Was that the same? Did anyone catch it?
Yes, it was the same. Play back the tapes.
It was the same.
I love all these answers. Jess, I love an acronym. I really do. But to me, Ghost Army implies that there is no army at all. So I'm really leaning towards either Fui or Allie's answer. Allie is getting support in the chat. I said before I go with chat support. Tina Talon has bamboozled me twice tonight, but I will go with chat support now for Allie because I really liked Allie's answer. I thought it sounded right. I love the idea of an army prank. I'm going to give 5 points to Allie. I'm not going to overthink it. I feel confident in giving 5 points to Allie.
Will actually here. Allie's correct. You are correct.
Will, you had me going.
Congrats.
Wow. Allie, what a fun answer. Balloons,
Yeah.
There really were balloons.
Yeah, but I think Ben Affleck's making a movie about it, like he does with every good thing in this world.
Wow.
Really cool.
That is so Ben.
That's awesome.
Me and Ben, very close friends. Can't wait to ask my friend Ben about that. Next question is, what strange legal proceeding was conducted by the Vatican in the late 9th century? Once again, what strange legal proceeding was conducted by the Vatican in the late 9th century? So in the 9th century, the 9th one, the Vatican legal proceedings, it was strange. Well, Jess, what was it?
So just clarifying, it was the 9th one, and it was strange. Just making sure we're all on the same page here. We don't have another metric ton situation.
It was a strange legal proceeding. It's like, what are they like doing?
Like,
and it was by the yes, yes.
Yeah. So the strange legal proceeding was actually an annulment, but not just any annulment. It was an annulment between two horses. Which were so it's a you gotta hang on with me here. It's a weird story, but so there were these two horses owned by two farming families that had intended to marry their children, and these horses had like normal like people names, like 8th century people names. Like one was like Gregory, and another one was I don't know, Ramona or something. I don't remember what the names were, but they did have real people names.
Okay.
And so on the paperwork to marry the two children, there were two pieces of paperwork that they were doing at the same time, one to sell the horses and one to marry the children. And they accidentally put the wrong names on the wrong forms. So they had to annul the marriage between the horses, because to have a horse wedding on the books at the Vatican would be super embarrassing.
Right.
So they actually went through a formal annulment process.
Right. Because they don't believe in horse divorce.
No.
Horse.
I like your story, Jess. Fui, what's your answer?
Correct.
Fui, what's your answer?
Oh, word. Sorry, my internet stuttered for a second. One of my favorite stories of obscure Catholic history. It's called the Corpse Synod, where the fourth was disinterred by one of his successors, Stephen VI, who fucking hated him, and put him on trial, accused him of being a heretic and an anti-pope. They actually gave the skeleton a lawyer and dressed it in the papal regalia, convicted him, declared him an anti-pope, overturned and chucked his body in the Tiber. But this is also a period where they went through like 20 popes in like 20 some years. They were just churning them over. So Stephen's successor actually liked Formosius, took Stephen, put him on trial, vindicated Formosius, dredged his body out of the Tiber, reinterred it, chucked Stephen in the Tiber, and then that guy's successor did the whole thing over again.
It's just a long line of throwing people in the river.
Yep. It was just this weird spat between two aging priests that continued for decades after their death.
And
There's
it was
a great painting of it too.
It was making somebody not a pope anymore.
Yeah, by declaring them an anti-pope, it basically means anything they did as a pope is no longer like canonically binding.
Wow.
Any of the infallible stuff that they spat off just doesn't count anymore. Any appointments they made don't count anymore. Any marriages they approved have to get reapproved by another pope. It's a whole thing.
What a mix-up. So we have Jess answered horse divorce.
Horse
Fui
annulment.
answered
You can't get a divorce.
And Fui answered Pope revoke. Allie, what is your answer?
Yeah, so basically back in the day, again, way before our time, many, many decades ago, strange 9th century was they didn't allow food inside the Vatican. So it was just this big hubbub, does the body of Christ count as food? Not really, because it's the body of Christ. But people would come fasted to mass, basically. So sometimes, they would come like with snacks and stuff, but the church was like, no, like this is a very important place, it's very sacred, please don't do that. So there was like kind of enough people, because back in the day people would fast and then you would have to wake up, go to mass in the morning. And then it just became really bad to a point where the Vatican had passed like a nationwide, rule to not eat in mass.
Is that still a rule?
Yeah, you can't bring food in church.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
It's the body
God.
of Christ.
I had no
That was
idea that was a rule, Allie.
Hashed out way before in like the 4th century during the church councils of the Constantine.
As a retired Catholic, as someone who's tried to bring snacks, it's not.
Yeah, don't do it.
Now, riddle me
You'll
this.
get yelled at.
I believe there were coffee and donuts after church at least once a month at St. Thecla's.
In the basement.
Jess, wow, we're calling out.
I would say that's just absolute blasphemy in that point, and those people aren't really dedicated to their
I have to
cause.
speak to Father Sullivan about that.
Then 13
There is-
years
it's
over
usually
here,
the basement
never
of
ate
the
during
rector.
mass.
Wow.
Or
This
maybe
is-
my priests were just hard asses.
Listen, Allie, oh, this is a tough question for me. I have no idea if they allow food in church or not, but it feels like maybe no. Seems like a formal place. But here, Jess is saying that you've experienced donuts.
I've eaten them.
You've eaten them yourself.
Eaten them.
That's a personal
My
experience.
whole
Allie.
self.
Again, we're talking 9th century here, so a lot's changed since then.
Tina Talon says, I like the corpse one. I have no idea which answer that is. I'm going to go with I'm gonna go.
You were
You're right, Jess. I'm done questioning my logic. Jess, your answer made sense to me because people in the 9th century mix up paperwork all the time because reading is something they had time to do for
No one could
pleasure.
read. No one could read back then.
one
How do they
could
know
read.
what the word said?
Very believable story to mix up and need a horse divorce. Jess, 5 points. Your answer was believable and excellent. It sounds right to me.
Was it though?
Jess, did you make that up?
It was Fooey. Fooey had the correct answer. There was a cadaver spat.
I told you, there's a painting of it. You can go Google that right now. Google corpse synod painting. SYNOD.
As the host of this show, I refuse to Google anything.
And that's why we
Interestingly enough,
fight so much.
the story in the painting is actually depicted with horses. Fun fact.
In the middle of getting an
Jess is
annulment.
still lying.
Jess, did you say those horses got married because we spoke about horses earlier on this same show? I need to move on. I need to move on. The final question in the 3rd round is
Those
The
horses
final-
later were the first horses on the Pony Express. That's what they were being sold to.
the third question in the 3rd round is what does Calapijan mean? I'm gonna what does Calapijan mean? What does it mean? Whose turn is it? Fooey, what does Calapijan mean?
It's pronounced Calapigian, and it's a word that describes a particularly well-carved statue. Callisti is a Greek word meaning beautiful, and Pygian refers to Pygmalion, a legendary sculptor who sculpted a that he fell in love with it, and then Aphrodite or Venus, depending on which language you're going with here, turned it into a real live woman for him to marry, who was named Galatea.
What
Pygmalion
term?
has since kind of become a sort of byword for sculpting specifically. General.
I'm sorry, how did they turn this statue into a human being?
With God, Mac.
This is a story.
This is a myth.
Yes, the myth.
Are myths not stories, though?
Myth. Fooey, I like your answer. I like the details. I always love an anecdote. Pygmalion is something I've heard before. I believe it to be a play, perhaps based on the myth. I haven't seen it. Allie, what's your answer?
Yeah, so Fooey is very correct in his pronunciation. I'm not going to butcher it because I'm not great with pronunciations myself. But in any case, it's actually the art of calligraphy, but for for symbols. So people would try to, you know, like hieroglyphics, they would try to make it more fancy as opposed to like a story or like a tapestry that you would you would see. So they would focus a lot more on the details as opposed to inscribing like symbols to kind of carry the story and live on in its beauty, kind of like dressing it up, like an illustration.
Oh, like, so the root word there perhaps is a cousin to like calligraphy.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Allie, this is holding up for me. Allie, I like your answer. Jess, what's your answer?
Yeah, so callipygian, Dave Fui was actually very close with his definition of callipygian. It is something well carved, but it's not a well carved statue. It's a well carved butt. Callipygian means having a shapely buttocks, a fine ass.
One more synonym.
Oh, my body's so callipygian for you, babe. You know, bootylicious.
Jess, I love when people sing on this show.
It means you got a good butt.
Jess, I like the answer. It doesn't sound right. I love the thought. It doesn't sound like it's a right answer.
He was right. The callip part, it comes from like the Greek word for beautiful, but pigeon means butt. It means butt.
It does not mean butt. Pigeon means bird.
Butt.
Listen, yeah, this is our most mature.
And what are pigeons if not little assholes?
No, pigeons are great, and I love them. I will not stand
But they have a curve like a butt. Like
listen,
yeah.
So.
Okay,
Jess said that this fancy word. If it were not about Pygmalion, wouldn't it be pronounced Callipygian?
It's an anglicization of the Greek pronunciation.
Okay, listen.
On that, we agree.
Jess said this word was about butts. It's a very fancy word. I'm ruling you out right now. Fui, you just said that you think pigeons are great little creatures.
Yeah, I love pigeons.
I'm ruling it out. I'm giving 5 points to Allie. I'm not even going to look at the chat. She just eats cigarettes. I'm giving 5 points to Allie. That sounds right. It sounds right, Allie. I'm going to give you 5 points.
So sad, Will actually here. Would you believe that it's actually a well-shaped buttocks?
Well, my body's so callipygian for you, babe.
See, the problem there was trying to come up with an answer that sounded right that wasn't right. Because I know the answer.
Because
I knew the answer to yours. That's why I came up with horse divorce.
Yep. I figured you probably did and had to come up with something super ridiculous, and I appreciate that.
Will, I'm sorry.
You got a good butt
right for me.
It's all right. We can't have a repeat of last week, I guess. But you know what? It's been a great show so far. I'm having a lot of fun with you guys.
Oh, thanks, Will. That was the nicest thing Will actually has ever said in his entire
really nice.
life.
Wow, we got to witness it.
Yeah.
Look on the bright side here, you know?
Thanks, Will.
That was nice. It made me feel warm.
I have to tell you all something. We have a few minutes left. And right now it is a tied game. Allie, Jess, Fui. This doesn't always happen. This actually very rarely happens. It has happened once before. The score is 15 to 15 to 15 to 1. Tina Tellen does have 1 point. Now, and I'm going to give a point to Will actually for that kind comment. So between the three of you, you got it. It is a tied game, 15 to 15 to 15, which means, and I love when this happens, which means that the final winner of tonight and the proud new owner of a diploma from 2MB University will come down to the bonus round. Here is how the bonus round works. I do not decide the points, which means I will not decide the winner tonight. The winner will be decided by the chat, by you, the audience. You can give points for answers that you think are convincing, that you think sound right to you by putting the contestant's name in the chat. All right. Here we go. Our bonus lightning round. Are you ready? Let's see the first question. Fui, what is this?
Oh, that's the entrance of the Louvre. That weird, ugly brick that they built in front of the beautiful building.
Jess, what is this?
That is my summer home.
Allie, what is this?
A design of the original pyramids.
Will, what is this actually?
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, obviously. Fooey, who is this?
That is the grandson of legendary blues guitarist.
Jess, who is this?
It's just Greg.
Allie, who is this?
A very skilled musician.
Will, who is this actually?
Seu Jorge. He's a Brazilian musician and actor.
I need to call on someone. Fooey, who is this? What is this?
That is an Asian moon bear.
Jess, what is this?
Early prototype for the Pony Express.
Allie, what is this?
It's a Canadian bear hitchhiking.
Will, what is this actually?
It's a sun bear.
Sun bear! Come on, everybody. Next question.
I knew it was moon or
Who
something.
is this? Jess, who is this?
That is Count Von Count if he were a person.
Fooey, who is this?
That is Rodrigo Cardinal Borgia, a distant descendant of the actual Cardinal Borgia.
Allie, who is this?
Sylvester Stallone's forgotten long-lost brother.
Will, who is this?
Nicolas Sarkozy, ex-French president.
Oh,
What?
ooh.
Last one, everybody. Last question. What is this? Allie, what is this?
A poison ivy.
Jess, what is this?
The plant my mom keeps in the corner of her living room.
Fooey, what is this?
Really shitty weed.
Shitty weed. Will, what is this actually?
It's called a Monstera Peru.
Thank you so much, Will. That is the end of the bonus round. Jess, I haven't talked to you yet. Is there anything that you want to tell the audience while I add up these bonus points?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've enjoyed everything you've seen here, you can see me all over 2MB and a bunch of other places. You can see me Thursday nights in Quarantine Action Wrestling, where I have a feeling my character might be challenging Tina Talon to a wrestling match. You can see me on this Friday. I will be appearing on another trivia show. So if this one doesn't work out, I still have another chance called Whatever It Takes. Directly after that, I will be on the 69 show. And on Saturdays, you can catch me in Sleepover. So there's me.
Thank you so much, Jess. And thank you, everyone, so much for coming on this show tonight. Audience members, thank you so much for tuning in. Jess, I was not rolling my eyes at the excellent plugs you were giving the audience. I was staring at incredulity at the chat. Who has
All the
given
points went to
10
Tina.
bonus points to Tina Talon in the audience. Tina, it's not enough for you to take home the victory tonight, I'm sorry to say, but you have now beat out Will Actually, who is standing with 1 point for kindness. Will, thanks for joining us. You're in last place. So sorry. Tina,
Well,
you...
Get to know kindness counts for nothing around here.
Oh, Will. I love you, Will. Tina is taking away 10 points. Congratulations for that. Allie and David are going to come away with 15 points, and Jess winning out by the single bonus point given during the bonus round tonight with 16 points for the one bonus point you got for saying, I believe that's Greg. You are going home with a diploma from 2MB University. Congratulations to Jess. That graduation cap has never been so appropriate as it is tonight because you're graduating from 2MB University. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next week at 7 p.m. right here on That Sounds Right. Stay tuned for Poof starting at 8, the magical game show. Good night, everybody.
Good night.